feel like I'm missing something huge and important. But I guess we'll find out when we go live.
You have to post the tweet.
Oh, the tweet action. Did I close that tab? I think we're live. Boom! And we're live. Oh my. I went to full screen me. Sorry about that. Let's take it up to Lewis full screen. How about that? Everyone loves a little full screen Lewis action.
Spare the people.
I should do a Lou zoom angle where it's just like your whole middle of your face just on the screen and nothing else.
You're just trying to kill the show, aren't you? Just trying.
Dude,
whoa!
That actually might make it better, Lewis. I can't find the tweet action. It's completely gone. What happened? Did I close it? See, I told you I was missing something and... Didn't we do that one year? Or one show? I think we did.
Oh, dear.
Okay, let me spin up this tweet action because I already lost it. Don't ask me how that happened. And we'll get this thing rolling. But you know what? We got Carlos L here. We got Spooky Roland. We got Streamlined. We got Betty Reyes. We got Ian William Clark. I hope that's 3 names and not 2. Is it William Clark or William Clark? We got Zagdool. That reminds me of the name of the bad guy in Ghostbusters. Let me get this thing queued up. And we get a whole lot of show going on here, my friends. Look, I hope that you're ready. I hope that you're sitting down. I doubt you even have the ability to comprehend what kind of show you're in for this week. Let's see here. Are you ready for the tweet action here, Lewis?
I'm beyond ready.
Boom! What's the deal with the tweet? There it is.
The whole website is just called X. What's next? Instagram's going to be L. Facebook's going to be K.
Oh, man. It's pretty good. We got Jan Hanholm here. Okay. I think we're ready to go, guys. We have quorum. We'll see how many people stick around once the content starts flowing out of our mouths. But we got to make this one a good one because the more people we get here, the more opportunity we have to get these to convince these people that they need to send us on a Disneyland trip, Lewis, so we can put you on some roller coasters.
Okay.
That would be one of my favorite things that I ever did in my lifetime. I know that. When was the last time you were on a roller coaster, Lewis?
God, that's an interesting question. Probably, wow. It's probably been, like the mid-'80s.
Wow.
Maybe the late 80s.
It's been a while. 90s.
I did hop
19.
on one of those, what are they called? Those things where they put you in the like a center of a big round circle. There's 2 seats in there, and then they take the giant stand that goes up in the airway, and it's connected with rubber bands, basically.
What?
You never heard of this? It basically
sounds terrible.
It launches you into the air, like I don't know.
Oh, like a catapult.
Yeah, but straight up.
Yeah. Why would you ever do that?
Oh my God, that was so intense. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, that sounds like heart attack territory.
Awesome. It was awesome because you go so fast and you just soar, and then you get up to the very top and start slowing down, and then there's a moment when you get to the top and you're sitting there, you're going, oh boy, and then it's just straight down.
Yeah, I saw a video of these women getting on one of those rides, and they were like, all right, here we go, and they're winding it up, right? And right before they let go, the strap breaks.
Oh my God.
And so that ride never happened. And ever since I saw that video, I mean, I never wanted to go on one of those anyway, but then I saw that video, I'm like, that's going to be a big nope from me.
Well,
The fact that that's even
just
possible.
One broke, you go like sideways, wrap around the thing.
Yeah, you'd get launched straight up and then back down and then hit the ground, back up, hit the ground. You'd be hamburger. Or the other one that people do, and I do not understand why, are like those big swings that take you like 200 feet in the air and you're just like going around in a circle, and your feet have nothing below them except for 200 feet of sky. They have one of those in Orlando, and I don't know how tall this thing is. It looks like it goes up like 300 feet. I'm like, I would never do that. Or the roller coaster, like on the top of the Stratosphere. That tower hotel in Vegas, and it's like you're going around the roller coaster, but you're at the top of the freaking Stratosphere. No way, dude.
Why?
No. Why? I don't know, because I have children and I want to be there for their future life events. Sounds
Why would you
terrible.
be more worried about that roller coaster than any other roller coaster.
Well, you have a hope of surviving another roller coaster. But if the strap breaks on the slingshot, dude, that's it, man. You're done.
It's because the roller coasters Airphone likes at Disneyland are tame compared to the ones we have at Cedar Point and Kennywood.
Yeah, mine have been inspected for safety. I think that might be the difference.
Do you ride the roller coasters that have like a milk stand, a chocolate milk stand on the way out?
I haven't seen chocolate milk, but they have juice and stuff, cookies,
Okay.
and cotton candy.
And you get on the saucer ride, or does that upset your tum?
Look, I don't appreciate the accusations or the insinuations that are going on here. I took I went on the Hulk
great.
ride at Universal Orlando. That thing was about as intense as it gets. It shoots you out of like this big giant tube at about 170 miles an hour. Your eyeballs are like flapping open. And then as soon as you get out of the tube, it takes you over and upside down and shoots you down so fast you have to clench your bung not to lose.
It's not
to go full El Caney on the ride.
It's not a proven roller coaster unless at least one person has died on it before.
I got off
on the Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point.
Okay, well, if I ever come, is that in Ohio?
Yeah, it's straight forwards, incredibly fast. Then it goes like 500 feet up, and then just 500 feet straight down, and then that's the roller coaster.
Okay, that sounds safe. I got off the Hulk one, and there's some guy sitting there with a medic, regretting his life choices.
Oh my god!
No joke. And then they have another one called the Velociraptor, which is like one of the fastest roller coasters I think in America. And it takes you up to like 70 miles per hour, and it's like you're hanging there. It goes over the actual walking paths of the park, so you're not just like in the roller coaster zone where there's like nothing below you but roller coaster. Like you're flying over people and like bushes and other rides and stuff, and it's super fast. So I've been on some real manly roller coasters. The roller coasters where I would probably have to come back and collect you, Lewis, after I was done.
Okay,
Maybe we do that instead. Universal
Okay,
Orlando.
let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
All right. Well, look, I got to be
Gotta get
leaving
going.
here. I know we have almost no time to do this show, so I'm going to queue up Mrs. You Know Who. We'll get this thing rolling. Oh, Mrs. D. Well, that's not it, Mrs. D. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, my dear, I also love roller coasters. Oh, really, Mrs. D? Oh, yes. I love going on rides. Really? Oh, yes, I rode El Caney last night. No.
Must be this tall.
We saw it coming. We saw it coming. I should have muted it for that part. Mrs. D, look at Lewis. His face is turning green. Well, this is not the kind of information we wanted to hear from you today. We just want to get this show going. So if you don't mind, I'll get the music queued up and we'll get this thing rolling. In 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30 plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Eric Live. Joining me today. I haven't given him enough credit. He's beyond cogent. In fact, he's better than he's ever been intellectually, analytically. I would even go as far as saying this is the best version of Lewis Wallace that I've ever experienced. And if you can't handle that truth, then F you. Managing editor of Lewis Wallace is here.
Perfect between the hours of 8 and 4.
We got him right at his peak. Also with us, hair dryer usage accounts for 16% of his monthly electricity expenses. He's thinking about switching to a natural gas model just to save some money. He's a writer for CultCast. Griffin Jones is here.
Still waiting to hit my peak efficiency. It hasn't happened yet.
Well,
Wow, I can't hear you, Griffin.
yeah, your audio actually did seem to drop lower
Oh,
for
wow.
some reason, randomly.
Let me see if I can fix that.
Yeah,
really
while
quick.
you do that, I will
Maybe you
let
could
everyone
read a
know.
how-to.
What's that? What?
You can
How-
read a how-to.
A how-to on how to keep your audio level normal?
Is that better?
Oh,
Oh, there we
much
go.
better. In fact, two better. Maybe
Okay.
bring it back like 55 or 60 decibels. No, it's good. Maybe bring it back like 15%.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, I think that
It's weird
probably.
that it spontaneously changed like that. We haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, and what's also weird is like all of a sudden it kind of seemed like your audio had like sped up, but I don't think it did.
I think that's a Skype lag thing.
You think so? All right.
It plays catch up sometimes.
Yeah, I thought maybe just Griffin was playing catch up.
He's got that corn powered internet back there in Ohio.
Yeah,
that's in Crawford County, Ohio.
no kidding. No kidding. So I've experienced. Okay, well, look, we have a lot of stuff to talk about and not a lot of time to do it. I got to be walking these sweet buns of mine out the door. Oh, my goodness. In 50 minutes. We got to make that happen. We're going to have to micro machines our way through this show. We're going to be talking about some cutting edge tech coming to iPhone 17. Lewis is going to talk about what's coming next for Apple Watch Series 10. I don't think you're going to like this news, but you're not getting a Series 10 anyway, right? You all are getting the Ultra, so this might not even matter. We have some big developments coming to HomePod. Yes, I still love the HomePod. It's just not nearly as much as I used to, sadly. Griffin's going to tell us about new features coming to iOS 18 Beta 3. We have a new season of Severance on the way, which I didn't realize this was coming so soon, so I'm extremely happy about that. And we're going to wrap up with an all-new under review where Griffin's going to tell us about a new pillow that he's been reviewing made out of wombat hair, right? Did I misread that? Oh, maybe I did. Okay, well, before we dive in, I want to give a big, hearty thank you to Notion for supporting this episode. Did I pull that up? Oh, yeah. Is that working? Oh, thank goodness. We do everything so last minute here. You never know what's going to go wrong. But thanks to my experience and tech prowess, we rarely have problems, except for the 40 minutes before the show. I want to thank Notion for supporting this episode. Notion is a place where any team can write, plan, organize, and rediscover the joy of play. Notion combines your notes and docs into one space that's simple and beautifully designed. With the power of AI built right inside, not a separate AI tool or browser tab. And it does so much gall darn stuff. More than you could probably expect from any normal notes application. I see people using Notion all the time now. In fact, there's this real estate club that I'm a part of. And they had this wiki that they had created. And it's available online, and I go to click on it. It's a Notion website. They created the whole thing in Notion. I see people using Notion for planning all sorts of various tech projects. I see people using Notion for planning like their content, their ad content, their YouTube content. Plus, you can use it just as a notes application if that's all you need. It's a great way to create like different task management systems. There's just so much power that's woven into Notion. And then it has all of the AI stuff, obviously, where it can do AI right there in the actual application. It has all these prompts that show you exactly the types of AI functionality that's available to you. You can change the tone of your of whatever you've written. You can have it create copy for you. You can have it summarize long articles or whatever. I mean, it just does a ton of stuff. Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/cultcast. That's all lowercase letters. Notion.com/cultcast and start turning your ideas into action. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show, which we appreciate. Notion.com/cultcast so they know that we sent you. All right, let's dive right in. Cutting edge tech in iPhone 17. Yes, it's a little bit of ways down the road, but we thought you still might be interested in this, and Griffin has promised to make this sound interesting. Take it away, Griffin.
So the iPhone 17 might be getting a cutting-edge 2 nanometer chip from TSMC. Apple's chipmaker TSMC will begin trial production of 2 nanometer processors next week. This is apparently months earlier than expected and raises the possibility that the company's next generation production process will be ready in time for the A19 chip in the iPhone 17. As a reminder, it was just last year in 2023 that the company rolled out the first 3 nanometer chips, and this year the A18 processor is expected to be made with an improved version of that process, which TSMC calls, quote, the industry's most advanced semiconductor technology. But then a big change might come. ET News reports that the Taiwanese foundry is ready to start 2 nanometer trial production next week. That's well ahead of what had been expected. Previously, it was thought the company wouldn't begin until the fourth quarter. TSMC says that volume production using its 2 nanometer process, which it calls N2, will begin next year, and the early start might mean that the A19 chip can be made in time for the iPhone 17 using this process. The company says TSMC N2 technology will be the most advanced technology in the semiconductor industry in both density and energy efficiency when it is introduced. N2 technology with leading nanosheet transistor structure, whatever that is, full node performance and power benefits to address the increasing need for energy efficient computing.
I want my money back.
Wow. Power in the palm of your hand. That's what I'm talking about right there. But I think beyond even the updated system on a chip, I heard that they're going to be doing away with the Plus model phones and switching to like those super thin model iPhones, which I feel like I'm just such a pessimist now. I don't mean to be, but I'm very dubious of. Like, I just, coming from being traumatized by the thin and light that Apple was moving towards for such a long time and how it almost ruined the Mac completely forever. And they somehow clawed their way back from the edge of that cliff. And I was even thinking about switching to PC because I was at a point with Mac where I was so fed up. I was like, there's nothing for me here. You know, I don't want to buy any of these machines. They're not practical. And then they moved to their new architecture, the Apple Silicon practical ports. And now when I hear thin, I start to get a little bit sweaty, you know? I start to perspire and I think, oh boy, are we going down this road again? Did they not learn their lesson? But
You know, Johnny, I have PTSD when that
I
phrase
do,
comes
yeah.
up.
JTSD. Is that JISD? I'm not sure. But he's gone, so there is hope that that's not what is going to happen. And I don't mind thin at all, but it has to be practical. You can't sacrifice practical features just to make something thinner. I don't care if the phone's a little bit heavier. I don't think anyone cares, as long as it has good battery life and has features that you'll actually use on a daily basis. I really hope that's not the way that they're going. But even if it is, at least we'll have the 2 nanometer TSMC chip in iPhone 17.
Yeah, and like a part of it is like a bit of marketing, because it's not like the entire chip will be shrunken 33%. Like, you know, it's kind of a marketing term in that, like, you know, it refers to like the smallest transistors used on the chip. There's still a lot more progress to be made, but it does show like how incredibly, like the fact that they'll, you know, 2 years after the 3 nanometer process, they'll be on the 2 nanometer process is pretty insane, you know.
Well, speaking of cutting things down in size, I'm trying to work us into this next story.
I was
Lewis,
going to say, speaking of insane.
I don't know if that segue worked, but I think yours actually sounded better. Let's talk about Apple Watch Series 10 getting cut down in features. I'm trying. No, that failed. I'll just hand it to you and be quiet.
All right. Well, so, you know, we heard, I guess we talked a couple weeks ago about how it's gonna, Apple Watch Series 10 is going to have this great new thinner design with a bigger display. That all sounds great. I am a fan of thin and light, especially if they can maintain the battery or increase the battery. But here's the bummer. Sounds like new health sensors won't arrive this year. So how can that be? Apple reportedly ran into problems with several health features it was working on for the Apple Watch. This year, the company planned to add a high blood pressure monitoring and sleep apnea detection to the Apple Watch. But according to Apple Scoop Machine, Mark Gurman, in his newsletter, he said, quote, serious snags, close quote, could delay release of the features. I'll just quote from his piece, which is very distressing to me. The technology that measures high blood pressure or hypertension hasn't been as reliable as hoped during testing. That may force Apple to postpone the release beyond this year. There have been particular concerns about the blood pressure feature working properly with the new Series 10 design. He said also, even when the option does launch, it won't be a replacement for the blood pressure cuff that some consumers have at home. The mechanism isn't designed to give you an actual reading, unlike the heart rate and blood oxygen apps on the Apple Watch. Instead, it will figure out your baseline and monitor if your blood pressure is relatively high. Then you'll be able to take note of what you were doing when your reading spiked. I wonder what that would be. So that sounds in line with a lot of things that Apple Watch does already, right? Like gives you a non-medical
indication.
yeah, it's monitoring constantly, which is awesome. And this actually sounds good. I mean, it's like, oh, I got 3 dings in a row from Slack and my blood pressure went up 10 points, right? Or
Based on a
maybe
true story.
maybe more likely 50 points. So that actually, even if it's not an exact reading, that would be very, very helpful for a lot of people. Just like having, blood glucose monitoring constantly throughout your day and week, whatever, would be very helpful for people. It helps them, connect their actions or things that happen to them with their physical health. So anyway, that's a big bummer. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. I would love to have that in there. Scared to go get my blood pressure checked. Anyway, so this is a funny one. The sleep apnea detection might not debut in this watch because it relies on monitoring your blood oxygenation level, which of course Apple had to remove that from Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra because of this ongoing patent dispute. So it sounds like that feature.
I wonder when that's going to be rolled up. I mean,
know, how can they?
What are they doing? Come on, just buy
the company.
Give them a check and let it and move on.
Well, who knows how much money this company wants? I mean, if they're saying that they own the patent and Apple has to pay them, they could literally set whatever price they want.
Okay, Apple has that amount of money. I guarantee it. The biggest number anybody at Massimo comes up with, Apple has that amount of money. Like it's if this affects 2 generations of Apple Watch, I think I'll be kind of irritated. I'm not even planning on buying an Apple Watch this year, but like, come on, guys, figure this out. It's been almost a year.
I know, it's crazy how long it's dragging out.
Can you imagine it comes out and it has the exact same features as last time? It's just slightly bigger and, slightly, I'm sure the display will be, the best display ever on an Apple Watch. It'll be, brighter and bigger and everything else. And it'll look a lot like the current watches. And, I'm sure it'll be slightly better, just like every watch the last 5 years, slightly better.
That's what the Series 7 was. Like I had the Series 7. Its only new feature was like the display was like what, 0.2 inches larger than the one before it.
This is every year.
I don't even think they made the display bigger on the 7, did they?
They did, only slightly bigger. And that's why they said that this watch Series 7 can show a full QWERTY keyboard and the Series 6, which is 0.2 smaller, couldn't. But I think that's also when they moved it from like 40 to 41 millimeters, something like that. But like, it also begs the question, why does Apple feel like they need to update the Apple Watch every single year? If the updates are so tiny, I don't think anybody would, be upset if it's like, we could make a watch that's basically the same, or we could just keep selling the same one for another 6 months.
I mean, I think the question answers itself. I mean, because they need to maintain the facade of newness so that people keep buying them. And every time there's a quote unquote new watch, like even if people who know Apple Watches and the features and what features are new or not, people who
people already keep their Apple Watches for like 5 or 6 years.
I know, but they constantly have to keep dangling that carrot, and so people who don't follow that stuff just see new and they don't know what features are in the watch. Like, oh, it's new, I'll just get that one, right? So they might be more motivated to buy that one. I mean, I'm planning on upgrading to the new Ultra probably when they release that one. Mine's almost 2 years old. There's nothing wrong with the Ultra that I have, but after 2 years, I'm like, okay, it has enough like small features that it might be worth upgrading. But I feel like with Apple Watch, this happens every single year. We hear about all these features that are going to be coming to it. A lot of them end up being software features and nothing huge from a hardware perspective. And this has been going on for so long. Like the one feature I think that was actually like a big one that was worth it was the always on display, which happened in the Series 5, I believe. Mm-hmm. And after that, I can't think of a feature that has been released that I have found to be personally useful.
Oh,
Yeah.
but you don't have double tap, do you?
No, I keep
The
trying to.
marquee feature of the series now.
I don't yet. No, I want to be picking the invisible blueberries, but do you
This
actually
is more like ashing the invisible cigarette.
ashing the invisible cigarette? Are you walking around ashing, Lewis?
You
It's
know
been a
what? I
long
gotta
time since
say,
I've ashed.
I read Griffin's How To this week on
Yeah.
what was it on? It was we published it like 6 months ago or something. We updated it and republished it.
Oh,
And
it was that was the one about the WatchOS 10 smart widget stick.
oh right, the widgets, yeah. And thank you for writing that. And screw me for not paying attention to it the first time I read it. But I went through it. I'm like, wow, this actually makes a lot of sense. And the double tap gesture, which brings that smart stack up, it's actually handy. It's actually handy. I like never used it at all, but I found myself using it lately. In the privacy of my own home, of course. I don't think I'll be doing that in public, but
Well, you will eventually. It's only a matter of time before you're out there picking the blueberries, ashing the cigarette, whatever you need to do. All right, well, let's keep it moving because we got a whole lot of show left and not a whole lot of time to do it. And this is one that I was excited about. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. But we seem to be on the cusp of getting a new HomePod with a large touchscreen attached to it. Now, this is something that I actually would be interested in. HomePod, for me, I have a love-hate relationship with HomePod. I love them, but I really don't like the changes that Apple made in the last generation. Actually, that's not true. They added a lot of really powerful features internally, like the proximity stuff, and well, that might be the only one that I actually find to be that useful.
And
But
they also don't spontaneously kill themselves after 6 to 12 months.
Well, yeah,
It's
and
a
then
good
I was going to
feature.
say, and the connection port so that you can actually fix them because the Gen 1s obviously didn't have that, which was an absolute shame. So if they brick themselves, they basically just become trash, which is outrageous that that's even something that happens. And then the other thing is they removed speakers, and that removed the magic. I don't know what tweaks they made. But you all know how I felt about the HomePods before. I thought that they were one of the best speakers in the market for the price. They punched way above their weight. They had like this effervescence to them, this just magic golden sound, and you put them in stereo mode, and they were like two angels singing to you. And then the new ones are just not like that. There's just something not right about them. And now they're, from a sound perspective, like every other, quote unquote, high quality wireless speaker on the market, which is really sad. But this feature would give them a bit more practicality. So if you're if you're watching the live stream, you can see a picture of the mock-up. A bit of a user interface for a rumored HomePod speaker with a large touchscreen reportedly turned up in the latest beta of tvOS 18. Now, we've heard leaks and rumors about this feature for years. It seems like we might be getting nearer to an actual release. I think Gurman has been talking about this for probably 2 years, and we've been regurgitating those stories for a long time. Apple reportedly wants to turn the device into the center of a smart home by grafting on an iPad or some kind of screen, rather than relying on voice commands. Yeah, good luck with that. As with the current models, the future version supposedly will include a touchscreen. Yeah, because every time you try to talk to your HomePods, your iPhone activates, or my favorite, I'm talking to my HomePods, and then my Apple Watch starts listening. I'm like, I literally never want to talk to my Apple Watch ever. I never want to use Siri on my Apple Watch. I should turn it off. I
Turn it
forget
I have
to do
another
that.
how
I know.
to I can drop in the show notes for you.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. I just can never remember to do it, so unfortunately, you can't help me with that. The new tvOS interface or system shell is internally called Plasterboard. Okay, no one cares about that. Let's see here. Griffin's into the show notes in real time here for me to remember to do this. Yeah, thanks. Except after the show's over, I'll never look at these show notes again. They will be dead to me forever. An unconfirmed report earlier this year indicated Apple won't release the HomePod with a large touchscreen until 2025 at the earliest. The new HomePod could be like a kitchen computer. See, that would be cool. That would actually be useful. I would definitely be interested in that. It would be good for FaceTime calls, obviously. But we'll see if this thing ever comes to fruition. I mean, who knows? They could be just testing it out. And I like how the image on the website looks like a iPad just superimposed over a HomePod Mini. Although it's
where's
still
the robot
convincing.
arm?
Huh?
Where's the robot arm?
There's no robot arm on it. Yeah, that's disappointing.
I have a couple things I want to add to this story. I think I also read on Mac Rumors that this rumored new HomePod is going to get the A18 chip, the same chip that's coming in the iPhone this year, and that would mean that it would then have the HomePod would then have the power to run Apple Intelligence features on the device itself.
Well,
Now,
as long as you're not in Europe.
the software there yet, but it would then be future-proofed to add that whenever they can get around to it. And another element that I was another dot I connected is that there's a new feature in iOS and iPadOS that lets you control the device entirely with your eyes. It has a camera and it like looks at your eyes and tries to intuit where you're looking on the screen, and kind of like eye tracking control with the Vision Pro.
Like,
you can do it on iPad and iPad.
Okay.
That's another area. That's another software feature they could borrow for this, because you have a thing sitting on a screen across the room. You don't just talk to it with your voice, but you could also look at it and pinch blueberries out of your kitchen.
I just want to, that's the life I want to live. I want to be pinching the blueberries. I haven't pinched a blueberry in a long time. I've pinched real blueberries, but you have blueberry bushes in my front yard, but it's not the same when they're actually there, Lewis. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's a completely different thing.
It's all about the invisibility.
And then your hands get dyed all blue, and then you don't want to touch your screen, but you can just do it remotely from afar.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. I was going to say one other thing about this, but unfortunately, I can't remember what it was going to be. I would just love to see Apple. They have so much potential to expand the HomePod line. At least I think. I mean, what do I know? I haven't done any market research. But to make a HomePod Pro and then allow you to have it be used in like a real surround sound setup, so people have to buy like 4 of them. People pay thousands of dollars for these systems. Sony has a system that allows you to have wireless speakers connected to your TV. And Apple could do the same thing. I mean, it seems like they could do it just with software right now, with the current HomePods if they wanted to allow you to set up some kind of surround sound situation. And like the TV application is a really big one. And they were onto something with allowing you to do the stereo pair and then use them as your speakers with your Apple TV. I mean, that was a really great extra use case for the HomePods. And it's something that I use every single day. I mean, I have the HomePods in a stereo pair, but from an audio perspective, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. I keep thinking I should make a video on YouTube. I don't know if anyone cares about HomePods anymore. I already know the title of it. Just talking about what they need to do to like bring life back to the HomePods. It feels like they are like a side hobby for Apple now, which is such a disappointment. I don't even know why they sell them at this point. I'm like, it seems like they just want to have something available for people so that they can compete with Sonos and have speakers all throughout your house, listening to music and stuff. I mean, that does make sense. But they could be doing so much more. And they're such a great product.
It's really weird how much the HomePod Mini costs. I mean, if that was like $49 instead of $99, I would probably buy multiple ones. I mean, we have, dual HomePod, regular HomePods in the living room, just praying they don't die. And we have a little Echo Dot or something in the kitchen, and they're both kind of right, like near each other, right? So you can use either one to set a timer. And honestly, we almost always use the Echo Dot just because it's, more reliable. And those things go for like $20, right? So I was thinking, but it's, after years and years of use, that thing, for some reason, it's like not as loud as it used to be. It keeps turning itself down. And I was like, well, maybe I should buy a little HomePod Mini. But I'm like, well, think how annoying that would be to have the HomePod, because it's not as good as the Echo Dot as far as like fulfilling your requests and things. It sounds better, but it doesn't, it's just too confused. And I guarantee if that was in there, it would like make that whole which Siri am I talking to now? Just that much more complicated. Oh my God! It even responded to that.
Oh, you did it. Sorry. I was gonna say you can't say that word.
It's just not good enough, is it? You can't even slur the word and make it happen. Erie say Pig Latin. We'll have to go. Pig Latin in future.
Yeah, I can't believe these are still $99. And
it's nuts.
It continues to be a product in their lineup, as Tim Cook says.
But if you look at the review counts on Best Buy, they have a ton of reviews. Like, people are obviously buying these. I agree. I think they're way overpriced. They should be $59 max. and then on sale for $49 sometimes. I mean, for the amount of usability that these things have, I mean, they're essentially just music machines because the Siri functionality is so severely limited, and the Echo products are so vastly superior in every single way to actually answering questions and doing anything. And I'm sure the Google products are as good, if not better. And the HomePod just doesn't really do anything except play music, and it doesn't sound that great. For $100, especially, there are things that are $100 I think probably sound better than the HomePod Mini, in my opinion. But if you're in the Apple ecosystem, then there's all that connectivity that you get with your phone and AirPlay, and you can even use them.
HomeKit, I mean, that's useful.
There is HomeKit, yeah, that's true.
And the new ones have the Thread antenna, right? So that's helpful if you have a smart home.
Yeah, I guess that's true. The Thread stuff is cool and actually very useful. So I guess maybe if you consider all those extra pieces of functionality, but just from a musical quality perspective, $100 for this the HomePod Mini,
and volume. I mean, they're not very loud.
They're not very loud.
Even if it was $79, that would be more reasonable.
They do go on sale for $79.
I don't have any speaker system in my kitchen whatsoever. So I have like an Adorama Edge credit card that I haven't used in 8 months or so, and I don't want to let it expire. So I was thinking about just like picking up 2 HomePod Minis and just having something in my kitchen for that.
I think they're probably good for that. I mean, they're good for having multi-room audio as long as you're not picky on what that audio sounds like. Because
I mean, it sounds decent.
I don't mean to imply that it's bad.
It sounds good.
I just think that for $100, it should sound better. Yeah, that is true. Streamline from the chat. To be fair, the HomePod Mini sounds better than any other speaker in its size. I think I do agree with that. I think for its size, and the same with the HomePod. Well, the original HomePod. I think it's probably still true, but it's not as obvious. It was a clear winner before, and the thunder that came out of the HomePod before was so surprising, and it punched so far outside of its class that was definitely true. It's a little less that way now, even though I think that probably is still true for the original HomePod, but yeah. All right, look.
Obsolete, by the way.
What's that? The original HomePod?
Yeah.
Well, one of mine
or going obsolete here.
Yeah.
Did it either just went obsolete or I don't remember what it was.
My original HomePod obsoleted itself, and no amount of unplugging it and leaving it sitting there for months on end has gotten it to resolve. I mean, I almost got the OS reinstalled. Remember, after leaving it unplugged for 6 months, and then plugging it back in and then resetting it. Like, I was like, holy moly, like this actually works. But then it tried to force an update, which I turned off on my iPhone, and I can never get it back after that. Because I'm like, I think there is a problem with it upgrading its software. And if it can just stay in the state it was in, it was fine. But as soon as you try to update the software, something goes haywire, and it. I even got it back into the stereo pair. I mean, everything on it was working. It was unreal.
It's got like the wrong Wi-Fi password or something.
It's probably something really stupid, yeah. And because you can't plug into it, it's just completely borked. What a huge design oversight. Okay,
hey,
look.
I misspoke. It's only vintage. The original HomePod is only vintage, not obsolete. Okay. I take it back.
We'll give it another year. Let's talk about iOS 18 Beta 3 changes. Hand it over to the Grifster to cover some of these. Keep in mind, I got about 20 minutes left before the show has to be over, and we got a lot to do. So, turbo mode.
Well, this is kind of a small beta update, so we can rush through this.
Okay.
iOS 18 Beta 3 further refines the dynamic island flashlight animation on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. You can swipe up and down to make it brighter and dimmer, or swipe left and right to make the light narrower or wider. There's like a really cool animation. You have to check it out if you're, click through the show notes if you're just listening, or maybe go to watch.thecultcast.com to see it. It's really cool looking. iOS 18 Beta 3 introduces macOS-inspired dynamic color-changing wallpapers that'll change colors based on the time of the day. Apple continues to make changes to how dark mode icons work. They now force third-party icons to switch to dark mode, even if the developer hasn't created their own custom dark mode icon. Any app icon that's like a simple like color glyph on a solid background will be automatically recolored to match Apple's own color scheme.
Wow.
And
That's
and
interesting.
other icons will just be darkened as well, so that they fit in a little more. That'll give you a more consistent look if you prefer that look. The iOS 18 beta, they make a big change to the emoji picker, making the emoji bigger. So now they're only like 4 rows of emoji instead of like 5 or 6. And they increase the space between them. Like the first time this brought up, I thought something was wrong because like all the emoji look huge. It's cleaner and more clutter free, according to some. I think it's lowering the information density. Like, we make our phone screens bigger so we can put more stuff on them, and then like years down the line, well, we just make everything bigger on the screen. Well, what's the point then of having a giant screen? You can also directly access stickers or Memoji from the emoji keyboard. That's part of the reason why they make the size bigger, admittedly.
Oh.
There are a few minor changes to the Photos app as well, including a select button that's always visible and a search button that is now colored blue instead of gray.
Oh, it's blue. Wow. Okay.
Great pick.
So
Great
they made
pick.
it slightly more prominent. There's actually going to be a piece coming this weekend about all the things that I hate about the new Photos app. So stay tuned for that.
3,000 words on why blue is the wrong color for the search box. Coming this week, folks.
It shouldn't be a tiny button way up in the toolbar anyways. It should just be like a full-size text field. There's this gorgeous new like full-screen user interface when you bring up the search bar, and they hide it away. Like it's so hard to reach. It's kind of
It really blew it.
Where's my...
What the?
There we go. I was looking for it.
A
little slow on the draw there. A little slow on the draw there, but there it is. There's your rim shot. Okay, let's see. I've completely lost my place. I'm floating through space and time like Gandalf after he destroyed the Balrog. Okay, we did the... right. Real
Hey, tell us
quick.
about our awesome, cool new sponsor.
Yeah, we're actually doing a promo swap, another promo swap. And for those of you that don't know what these are, so like we partner with other podcasts who we think that you might want to give a shot and listen to, and then they promote us to their audience just to kind of like help build up the audience and bring some new people in that may not have heard about us before. And so this week, we haven't done one of these in a while, actually. I want to give a plug to 404 Media, and let me make sure I bring this up so I don't miss anything. And of course, my scroll is going so slowly.
Let me just say while you're searching that, like,
Yep.
man, 404 Media, if you haven't been going to their website, it is some of like the best tech journalism. I mean, second to Cult of Mac, of course.
Of
that
course,
I found
yeah,
on the web.
goes without
Like,
saying.
I go there like several times a week. They always have like the coolest, best stories. I know. You just read them on the website because inevitably a few days later I'm going to see people talking about their work on Mastodon or Threads or stuff like that. So great site.
Okay, cool. So you actually are familiar with them. That's great, because I hadn't had a lot of exposure to them, but it sounds like they actually have like a pretty ingrained audience there. So I'm trying to read the chat at the same time. Let me read the spot so that I don't miss anything. Instagram's rampant ads for crime problem. Amazon's issue with AI-generated mushroom foraging books. I don't see a problem with that. The FBI's secret phone company and the AI music ripping the Harry Styles community apart. Oh boy, now you're speaking my language. These are just some of the stories that you won't hear about anywhere else, but on the 404 Media podcast. 404 Media is an independent tech news outlet made by industry-leading journalists formerly from the tech site Motherboard. Every week, 404 Media's co-founders Joseph, Sam, Emmanuel, and Jason give you unparalleled access to hidden worlds, both online and IRL, and take you behind the scenes of how their stories were made and what they really mean. You can find the 404 Media podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, or at 404 Media. It's 404media.co, 40media.co.
.co.
.co. I know. I always say .co, but yes, it's .co. 404media.co. And when I do coldcloth.co, do I say co or co? I think I say co. So I'm not sure why I went full co there, but all right. Let's keep it moving here, and I want to give a quick mention to something that I am extremely excited about. And that is Severance Season 2 which I had no idea when they were coming out with the new season. I hadn't heard that they had finished production. I hadn't heard anything. And this is one of the best shows. Well, I'll just say it's just one of the best shows. I was going to say on Apple TV Plus, but it's just one of the best shows. And for all of you that saw it, it's one of the most original, gripping, and quirky shows that I've seen in a long time, and one of the ones that I am really excited to have come back. And this would actually get me to pay Apple for a month or two to actually finish watching this show. This and Silo. These are two of my favorite shows. I was going to say on television, but just that exists now. Adam Broussard saying Silo was decent. Oh, man, I don't know about that. I think Silo was outstanding. That end sequence, which you may have been able to see coming, I think that plot point has been used in other programs, even shows that are on now that I won't call out because I don't want to spoil anything for you. But still, I thought that end sequence was so good. And I'm talking about Silo. I also thought Severance's ending was really good. So it looks like it's coming back in January. There was a Severance teaser trailer that came out. Oh no, that wasn't a trailer.
It's a teaser trailer. It's like 30 seconds or a minute.
Yeah, but it didn't really show anything from the actual show.
Yeah, total tease.
Yeah, I hate
Show-
trailers
what do you
like
mean?
that.
Teaser for the teaser.
What do you
maybe.
mean?
There was a teaser for the teaser that came out on Tuesday, but then maybe Monday, but then on Tuesday, there was like a full 30-second trailer with like lots of,
I haven't even seen that one.
yeah.
Okay, so there's two.
You've got something to look forward to.
Oh man, I gotta get out of here. Sorry guys, we're gonna go ahead and just wrap it.
It was a very welcome reminder of just how weird the show is.
Dude.
Like it's like I could feel like, oh yeah, I remember. It just brought the vibe. Introduced a new character, played by.
Okay.
Do you know who?
No.
Do you care? Do you want to know?
Well, is it in the trailer?
Yeah.
No, don't tell me. I'm gonna go back and watch it. And plus,
Okay.
there are probably a
We're
lot of
not
people.
even gonna spoil.
Yeah.
Spoil a trailer.
And I know there's some people in the chat saying that they don't like to watch trailers. I don't blame you. I'm careful with my trailers because oftentimes they do show you too much. If it's a teaser, then
This does not.
Okay, then there you go. I'll
It's
probably go
literally
watch
just
it.
like kind of a reminder of what happened in like one shot of a new character saying like 3 words.
And then Apple has a description of the second season, which may be a spoiler, so skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But they say, in season 2, Mark and his friends learn the dire consequences of trifling with the severance barrier, leading them further down a path of woe. Oh, man.
That's a surprisingly bad writing for such a creative show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very generic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I thought the more interesting aspect of Severance, beyond just the severance barrier, was like the whole wacky and weird, like religious overtones that they have in the show. It's like they basically have like a temple inside the. This might be going into spoiler territory, but it's not really. I'm not going to talk too much about it. But like, there's just like that company Lumen is so bizarre, and you kind of start to learn like where they get their values from, and the more you learn, like the more wacky and weird it is, and there's like all this like religious language that happens and imagery and stuff is very strange. But I thought it was an interesting interplay between that and like the actual science and technology that is happening. Anyway, coming out in January, so gives you something to look forward to during the long bleak winter, at least here in Seattle. Dude, I'm so over Seattle winters. I need to move. I got to go somewhere sunnier. Seattle summers are the best. They're hard to beat, but you just don't get any sun here. And come August, I always start getting depressed. And I'm like, here we go. Another long, dreary fall and winter. And once we get into it, I'm usually fine. I actually do like fall. But it's just gray, and people always think that it rains a lot in Seattle. It actually doesn't, but it looks like it's going to rain. So it looks like it's going to rain for like 9 months, and then it just doesn't. So it's just long and gray and boring and awful.
You know what you need?
To move?
You need a melon bar.
What's that?
Or waffle party.
There you go. Maybe a dance party. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's move on to our last story. I'm going to give you a full 7 or 8 minutes to wrap this one up here. Griffin, you want to talk
Okay.
about the Wombat Pillow Pro made of real wombat hair?
Wombat Willow Pro, which is a keyboard.
Oh, it's a keyboard.
So-
I actually didn't even know.
I misread it the exact same way. I can't believe we're doing pillow reviews on CultCast.
All right, I'll bring it up.
So here we go. I'll hold it up here.
Oh, dude,
Have
it's
a picture
nice.
in Oh yeah, it's a really cool looking keyboard. So yeah, it looks really cool. It's like silver and it has like these gray and white and yellow keys. What I like about it, especially in contrast to my regular everyday keyboard, is that it's really thin. It's kind of low profile.
Yeah, it is
Not
for
Apple
mechanical
keyboard.
keyboard. Mhm.
Just the right amount you want. And even though it's thin, I will say it's also like very well designed. Like this thing is seriously almost feels like overbuilt. Like I always do like a flex test whenever I get a product.
Oh my god.
Try and see how much wiggle it has. This thing has like absolutely no give. It's kind of crazy.
No wiggles.
Mhm.
Mark that in the pro column.
Yeah, incredibly sturdy. The layout is really unique. I don't really like full keyboards, like the full 120 key keyboards with the number pad, because the number pad increases the distance between like the alphanumeric keys and where I keep my trackpad. I don't like a lot of distance between the two especially when I'm editing. I'm moving between the two a lot. And most compact keyboards, just chop off the number pad. So then above the arrow keys, you have like the page up, page down, and that's kind of the whole thing. This keyboard has it all. It has the full alphanumeric keys, it has arrow keys, and it has a number pad, but it moves the number pad above the arrow keys.
Yeah, that's
And
nice.
instead, you have 2 rows of function keys on top. So you still have room for all your F1 through F12, but then you still have your page up, page down, delete. They're not exactly where your muscle memory expects them to be, but they are still there. You have like a full set. And it does mean that like the keyboard is like longer or like, taller
Deeper.
than a keyboard, but it's still compact,
Give us some. Adam Broussard from the chat wants some clicky ASMR. Let's hear that thing.
Okay, yeah. I was going to move on to that. One thing I like about this keyboard is that although it's mechanical, it's quiet enough that I can still use it during the CultCast. So I'm going to keep my microphone exactly where it is, but I'm
Okay.
just going to type a few random letters here.
Oh, it's got a
Yeah.
nice,
it has
soft, clicky action to it.
Yeah.
It's not
There's-
offensive.
Tactile wise, there's not like a
Yeah.
defined like click action to it. You are bottoming out the keys, and you can tell it's been like dampened a little bit audio wise, but it is still nice to type on. It's comfortable. Compare that to, and I'm going to switch these around with my daily keyboard,
Oh boy,
Yeah.
here we go.
the Model F. Maybe headphone warning, or turn down the volume in your car unless you want to be deaf on the highway. But
Ugh, that's giving me a case of the Mondays.
yeah, you can like seriously hear this keyboard across the house.
Why'd you ever use that? It's way too clicky.
Oh my god,
I
look
mean-
how thick it is.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a phone book.
You said it's an F1. Is it made by Ford?
This is the Model F keyboard. That's my daily keyboard. Let's see what else. The Willow Pro does have RGB backlighting, but because I have good taste, I just keep it on white. It also has one little detail. It has the neatest like flip down feet I've ever seen on a keyboard. They're just like a little piece of plastic. You just flip them
Yeah.
around. These ones, it's like a piece that you pull out of the bottom, and then it clips on magnetically.
Oh, well.
Never
something like
seen that.
Yeah.
And
It's just-
stays
has a little
firm.
hiding spot, and then it magnets in there, and it is very firm. Like it's a strong magnet. One more feature: it has like 3 different ways you can connect to it. Yeah, you can plug it in over USB-C. There's a little, USB-A dongle you can plug.
Oh,
into
there's a
your
dongle. Good. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was wired
wirelessly.
only.
And there's also it also connects over Bluetooth to up to 3 devices, so you can have like a full array of computers surrounding you and use the one.
Oh,
keyboard.
nice, dude.
What kind of person would have a full array of computers around them?
Yeah, that would be absolutely ridiculous. I don't know who would.
Only
not
those
such
with
a lot.
elevated IQs, but it's not something that you guys would get.
It takes a very high IQ to understand the Willow Pro keyboard. No, it doesn't. It takes $129, and then you can buy it yourself. It's a nice keyboard.
Okay, so it's $130,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got a pretty serious feature set here. I mean, that's a lot for a keyboard, but it's got dedicated Mac keys,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a pleasant, soft, clicky, creamy tone.
It actually comes with spare keycaps and a little key puller, so you can swap
Nice.
out the Windows keys with Mac keys that say Command, Option, and Control on them.
It's definitely got a cool aesthetic to it, which for me and for many keyboard enthusiasts is arguably one of the most important things about a keyboard is that it just looks cool on your desk, which is kind of what they're going for here. I like the color scheme. I like the number keypad and arrows layout too, how they have those positioned above and below one another.
Mm-hmm.
So, but how come it's not your daily driver?
Well, I do really like the feeling of the Model F keyboard that I have.
Yeah.
It's not a typical mechanical keyboard with key switches, and I've written a full review about it that I guess I'll also put in the show notes. But it uses a technology called buckling springs, which is instead of having like a switch underneath it, you have a metal spring, and then when you press down on the key, the spring like buckles to the side, and that's why it's so loud, because pieces of metal contacting each other, and that's how it registers key clicks. But it's also incredibly comfortable, and it's designed to last like 40 years or more.
40 years, and as the chat points out, seems like a fine instrument to use as a personal self-defense weapon. Whack somebody right over the head with that thing, they're going down.
Like this thing is heavy, much heavier than
Oh, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Dude, that's got a cool. Is it which keyboard's that?
This is the Model F that I was just describing.
Is that the same company?
No.
Model F's the company, right?
Model F is the company.
Model F is the name of
Of
the
course,
company, and I
the
think it's
keys
just
have no
called
labels, which as much as I love that from an aesthetic, I don't know if I could ever live with that in my life.
It took a lot of getting used to. You can read. I'll put my review in the show notes where I talk more about it. But like, I just wanted like a silver and black keyboard because that's just like the canonical Apple color to me, and I didn't like any of their font choices, so I just got one without any letters on it at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. As much as I have my keys mapped to memory, it's like every once in a while you're like, wait a second. It's funny how you can just do it by muscle memory, but if you had to like visualize it, you actually could not, and you wouldn't actually know where things are until you go and look, which occasionally does happen to me. But you know what? None of that matters because that's it. That's all the time we have for you guys this week. But of course, we'll put links to that product and maybe both keyboards if you want, Griffin, in the show notes so people could check it out, and then also to all the stories that we talked about today as per usual. But that's it. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But you know what? The fun continues in the Cult Club, which I have been absent from. I need to go in there and hang out. Hopefully you guys found my rope tie. It's missing again, and that's fine. I just wear my robe open. No one seems to mind. But if you want, you can come hang out in there with us. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, for hanging out live. And I forgot to mention, support.thecultcast.com is how you get into the Cult Club if you want to come and fork it over. It's only $5. It's only $5. It's only $5. Is the content worth it? It's dubious. But you'll feel good about yourself just forking it over, won't you? Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out live. And we will see you guys next time. In 2 minutes, this music's going off. That's it. You have to shut it off. Even if it's not done.
A short show this week. It can be good.
Yeah. Hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm going to start moving my cursor towards the end stream button.
Slowly.
It's going slowly. Now more quickly. It's there now. It's literally over the stop stream button, but I'm waiting for the music. It's just taking so long. Should I just fade it out manually? Yeah, we should do an after show Q&A. We should do that. Maybe next week.
Leave your questions in the Cult Club.
Yeah. There you go. Bye, y'all.